recent years, but when the Michael Jackson circus comes into town, it's still as wacko as ever. Sarah Gatenby, GMTV News.
So much has been said about the life and career of Michael Jackson that it has become almost impossible to disentangle the man from the myth. He's been performing since the age of 5, breaking records since he was 11, and a star without equal since the age of 21. Recent revelations are only the latest installments of a saga that began decades ago. From his drilling as a child star with the Jackson 5, to his rise as the king of pop, followed by his public humiliation and spectacular fall from grace. We'll be examining the real story and fame phenomena of a black American icon who was destined to become the most controversial figure in the world. Born in Gary, Indiana in 1958, Michael Joseph Jackson was 7th of 9 brothers and sisters. His father, Joseph Jackson, who had a reputation as a strict disciplinarian, organized a family band made up of his children, Jackie, Jermaine, Tito, and Marlon. In 1963, at the tender age of 5, Michael joined the group. Joseph scheduled a strict regime for Michael and his brothers. Relentless hours of practice left very little time for normal childhood activities. In 1966, the brothers won a talent contest at the renowned Apollo Theater in New York's Harlem district, and within a year had supported Gladys Knight and the Pips. Gladys recommended the group to Motown Records.
I felt something from this group of young kids. Joe Jackson and Catherine were very into their children, and they were struggling trying to get these young men introduced to the entertainment world. And Joe had come by, he would bring them by the theater every single day. And the Pips were really more familiar with the guys than I was. And they had been talking about them for the longest time. So I said, well, hey, let me see what I can do. So I went, and we were with Motown at the time. And I went and I called the company, and I asked them if they could send a representative out to see these young kids because they were performing on the talent show that Wednesday night. And I didn't carry a whole lot of weight at the company at that time. And they said, well, we'll do the best we can.
Motown sent a young executive, Suzanne DePass, to meet the boys. And the Jackson 5 were born.
I was with Motown for I'd been with them for about 14 days and was living in an apartment building where another artist at the company, Bobby Taylor, lived. And he called me because he knew I worked in Berry Gordy's office, and he said, you've got to come down. And I went down to his apartment, and there, sort of stretched out across the living room floor, were Michael and his brothers and Joe and a couple of other people who were with them at the time. And I was like curious, and Bobby clapped his hands and he says, okay, boys, get up, let's sing. And Michael and his brothers got up and they sang a cappella, and it really blew me away.
Michael Jackson first entered a recording studio in 1967, just 3 months after his 9th birthday. By the age of 10, he became lead vocalist. A year later, he and his older brothers released their first single, I Want You Back. It became more than just a hit. It was an oral steamroller. It shot to #1 in America, selling 2 million copies. Michael was just 11 years old. Jackson Mania had arrived. Over a 10-month period, the quintet from Gary, Indiana created pop history with an incredible 4 consecutive #1 hits, I Want You Back, ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There. With the release of the horror movie Willard in 1971, Michael Jackson's career took on a whole new dimension. The title song, Ben, became a worldwide smash, giving Michael his first taste of solo success.
Ben, the two of us need look no more. We both found what we were looking for.
By 1975, after 13 albums and countless top 10 hits, Motown and the Jackson 5 were to part company.
My friend will say, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
With a fresh start at Epic Records and renamed simply the Jacksons, the journey was far from over. The hits just kept on coming. In 1977, Michael Jackson starred in the feature film The Wiz, a remake of The Wizard of Oz featuring an all-black cast. Michael played the Scarecrow, and his leading lady, Diana Ross, played Dorothy. The movie flopped. Michael was introduced to Quincy Jones on the set, which led to Jones producing Jackson's first electrifying solo album, Off the Wall. The album went platinum, selling over 7 million copies, and catapulted Michael Jackson's solo career into orbit around the globe. Quincy Jones worked with Michael to produce his second solo album, the 1982 masterpiece, Thriller. It became a hit of colossal proportions, reaching #1 in the United States and the United Kingdom simultaneously. It remained in the top 10 in the US Billboard chart for an entire year. Thriller put black music on US radio for the first time in years. With an astonishing 65 million copies sold worldwide, the album cemented Michael Jackson's career as an American icon and universal superstar. An incredible 7 of the 9 songs on the album went on to be top 10 singles. Today, Thriller retains its title as the biggest-selling album of all time. During the 1980s, Michael Jackson's fame had surpassed many of the world's leading political and religious figures. By the age of only 25, the New York Times summed him up as a musical phenomenon, stating that in the world of pop music, there is Michael Jackson, and then there is everyone else. 4 songs on the album Thriller were penned by Michael. Wanna Be Starting Something, The Girl Is Mine with Paul McCartney, Beat It, and Billie Jean. Unlike many artists, Michael did not write his songs on paper. Instead, he chose to dictate the words into a tape machine, and when recording, he would sing from memory rather than read the words. Aside from his music, Michael Jackson was to revolutionize music videos. The unique video for Thriller was unprecedented for its time, with a duration of over 14 minutes, a huge cast, and massive budget. Director John Landis of Blues Brothers and American Werewolf in London fame teamed up with visual effects artist Rick Baker, who created prosthetics that rivaled those of the cinema. This, combined with choreography as dazzling as Broadway, resulted in a music video which became so popular that a documentary, The Making of Michael Jackson's Thriller, became the world's largest-selling home video. Songs from Thriller, along with Michael's narrative for the E.T. storybook, earned him a phenomenal 8 Grammy Awards in a single night. Another pop music industry record. It was during the televised 25th anniversary of Motown in 1982 that Michael Jackson, wearing his signature white sequined glove, unveiled the now famous moonwalk for the first time. It sent the crowd wild and received phenomenal worldwide media coverage. The popular music channel MTV, who in the past had been reluctant to give airtime to black artists, were now broadcasting Michael's videos on heavy rotation. By 1983, Michael Jackson was the most celebrated and influential pop star on the planet. He is one of a few artists who have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. His awards include 8 Guinness World Records, including one for Thriller as the world's best-selling album, 13 Grammy Awards, 13 #1 singles in his solo career, and the sale of over 750 million albums worldwide. Michael received further accolade when he was presented with the Greatest Artist of the Decade award by President Bush at the White House. On January the 27th, 1984, Michael Jackson and his 4 brothers were performing Billie Jean for a Pepsi-Cola commercial when a bizarre firework accident during filming resulted in Michael suffering second-degree burns to the head. Plastic surgery was required to restore his appearance. By 1988, Michael was taking a hiatus between albums and living at his legendary vast estate, a 2,600-acre ranch in Santa Barbara, California. He called it Neverland, after the magical kingdom featured in the J.M. Barrie novel Peter Pan. Neverland contained a private amusement park, plus a small zoo stocked with exotic animals such as elephants, snakes, giraffes, and lions. Michael's favorite pet was the famous Bubbles, his chimpanzee, who traveled everywhere with him. The ranch was maintained by 54 full-time staff. Michael was never short of visitors to his fairy tale theme park. Children, especially sick children, would be invited to spend the day there. In 1987, the album Bad was released, and along with it came a significantly different-looking Michael Jackson. The 1988 Bad tour was attended by Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Prior to taking the stage, Michael presented the Prince and Princess with a £300,000 cheque from the proceeds of his Wembley concerts for the Prince's Trust, a charity that supports disadvantaged children. Michael presented Princess Diana with 2 custom-made Bad World Tour jackets, one each for her young sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. During the 1980s, at the peak of his career, Michael Jackson was the most famous man on the planet. A sex symbol known for wearing fetish outfits and grabbing his crotch on stage. By the end of the 80s, Michael was crowned Artist of the Decade. Post-millennium, he became the object of ridicule and scorn. Hounded by the press and by the courts, the victim of as many as 50 new lawsuits a year, the bizarre tabloid rumors became rampant as Michael's fame grew. It was alleged that he had paid a vast sum for the bones of John Merrick, the Elephant Man, that to maintain his high-pitched voice, he was taking hormone treatments. Increasingly outlandish headlines claimed that to keep his youthful appearance, he slept in a hyperbolic chamber. When it was reported that Michael bleached his skin to make him appear whiter, some felt that he was denying his ancestral past. Michael later revealed that he suffered from the skin disorder vitiligo, which affects the skin's pigmentation, resulting in the appearance of large white blotches. With the release of the album Dangerous in 1991 and its estimated global sales of 30 million copies, rumors became rife that Sony were dissatisfied with record sales, and Michael was not living up to the record company's high expectations. By 1995, Michael had finished his latest album, History, which controversially contained new material mixed with old and featured a duet with his sister, Janet.
It was really fun working with him in the studio. We wrote the song. It was very interesting to see him work at work because I hadn't seen him in a really long time. I think the last time I saw him at work was the Thriller album, really. Just being there in the studio with him and just watching. Most definitely I did feel that little sister thing. It'll always be that way because that's what I am. And he's my big brother.
Although singles from History received great acclaim, the album was never really welcomed with enthusiasm. Michael was criticized for being unable to come up with anything new. Though completely denied by either of them, the media suggested that Michael was romantically involved with childhood friend brookshields.
I think because we both grew up in the same business and we had similar upbringings in the sense that we were, we had to begin in this business at a very young age. We learned a sense of, we had defense mechanisms that we'd built up. And I think once we met each other, we realized that we didn't really have to be wary of one another. And that enabled us to build a friendship on a very different level. I think we both had a crush, and still do have a crush on each other. I mean, I think part of having a crush on someone is admiring them. We have a lot of fun together. And I mean, it's almost unfortunate because we know each other so well. Well, actually, I think right now, let me say that I believe that we're closer now than we ever were. I think we love each other more now than we even knew we did when we were younger. I feel closer to him than some of the boyfriends that I've had. I mean, I feel more relaxed around him or more comfortable with him than I do. So it's sort of, and I mean, I've never really had a brother. There is part of that. But it's like a love on a very different level, and it's hard to really explain. And whenever I've tried to explain it to people, it's been misinterpreted. And it's a shame because it hurts him too when he feels that people misinterpret the way we feel about each other. And he gave me the most incredibly beautiful ring that you can ever imagine. And of course, then people
built that out of proportion, and they said we were engaged, and it wasn't about that. It was a friendship ring that when he gave it to me, it was the most adorable thing. We hadn't really ever exchanged gifts before.
In 1993 brought the first bombshell. Rumors about Michael Jackson and his unusual relationship with children began to surface, and the world held its breath as the King of Pop denied accusations of child abuse at his Neverland Ranch in Santa Barbara. Michael went public with his denial of inappropriate relationships with any child and settled out of court with the family for a reputed $20 million. This was the start of a chain of events that would ultimately damage Michael's career in a profound way. It was during this time that a highly scrutinized marriage took place to Lisa Marie Presley, whose father was one of the few men who could rival Michael's worldwide fame. Despite media speculation about the credibility of their relationship, Lisa Marie and Michael were only too happy to publicly denounce rumors and declare that their love for each other was genuine. The marriage was short-lived and ended on amicable terms in 1996. Within a year of separation, Michael's association with his dermatologist's assistant, Deborah Rowe, led to an announcement that she was pregnant with his first child. Soon after this, the couple were married in Australia. Deborah gave birth to a son, Prince Michael Jackson Jr., followed by a daughter, Paris Michael Catherine. Despite having 2 children together, the relationship was not to last, and by autumn 1999, the couple announced their intention to divorce, with full custody of the children going to Michael. In 2002, Michael announced the birth of another son, Prince Michael II. To this day, the mother's name remains a mystery. In 2002, Michael Jackson released the album Invincible. It was a financial disaster, selling only 2 million copies in the US, and after an association that spanned over 20 years, Sony failed to renew its contract with Michael. The King of Pop was losing popularity.
We were already off the wall, and we're coming off our seats to stand up for justice in the music industry.
This is very important because throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of completely. And it's time now that we have to put a stop to this incredible injustice. And like Mrs. Sharpton was saying, people from James Brown to Sammy Davis Jr., some of the real pioneers that inspired me to be the entertainer that I am. These artists are always on tour because if they stopped touring, they would totally go broken. And it's been, the record companies really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists.
Now let me say this.
Sony, Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very devilish.
Jackson in this way, and whoever else artists that are on their label that are being sucks. Sony sucks. Sony sucks. I want to hear the guys in the back.
There has been much criticism and speculation regarding Michael's treatment of his children. An incident in 2002, which was circulated around the world, showed Michael holding his baby over a Berlin hotel balcony for his chanting fans to see. It created uproar. Those close to Michael have always insisted that he is a responsible parent and highly protective of his children. Michael Jackson had become an easy target. The harder he tried to protect his privacy, the more absurd the stories became. Claims of Michael sharing his bed with his pet chimp, Bubbles, fueled hysteria. More outrageous tales began to surface when Michael's sister LaToya launched her own musical career, and claims circulated of Michael and LaToya being one and the same person. Michael's dramatic change in appearance over the years prompted speculation that he was attempting to look like his friend Diana Ross, or even Peter Pan. Throughout all of this, Michael continued to be adored by his legions of fans.
Don't you think the last performance was great?
Thank you, brother. What's so special about tonight? What's so special about tonight's performance for you? What makes it so great? What makes it such a great night for you?
It's a reunion, and I'm honored that the world appreciates my art. I'm very honored.
Are you excited to be back with your brothers? Yeah, excited. All of us. How great is Michael as a man? You know him well as a person. How great is he as a man?
Well, he's one of my closest friends, and we know more about each other probably than any two people. And I love him, and he loves me.
I'm constantly upset by what people say. I mean, first of all, granted, you take everything with a grain of salt, and there are many things said about me that are unkind that I don't find pleasurable. But so many people really don't know him, and they don't give him a chance, and they're so ready to criticize. And I think what happens is when you see genius, and when you see a talent that is just unstoppable and untouchable, the first reaction people have is to criticize it, because it scares them, it threatens them, and in order to augment their own self-worth, they feel that they have to belittle him. And he's a sensitive human being who, all of the negativity really, it does affect him and it hurts him.
So just leave me alone, girl, leave me alone.
By doing that, this is their time for this, and this you should not do. You should not say he's an animal. Should not say he's Jacko. I'm not a Jacko. I'm Jackson. Wacko Jacko. Where'd that come from? Some English tabloid. I have a heart and I have feelings. I feel that when you do that to me. It's not nice. Don't do it. I'm not a wacko. There's a time when I give a concert, I like to have as many people want to come can come and enjoy the show. And there's a time where you like to be in private when you put on your pajamas, go to sleep, cut off the light, ding, and and lay down. That's your private space. You go in the park. I can't go in the park. So I create my own park at Neverland, my own water space, my movie theater, my theme park. That's all for me to enjoy. I don't want paparazzi, really. But if they come, be kind. Write the right kind thing to write.
When film director Steven Spielberg publicly criticized Michael for using anti-Semitic lyrics, the king of pop was forced to make a public apology, denying prejudice towards anyone. But by this point, the media had begun a feeding frenzy that was to culminate in what remains one of the major scandals of pop history. In 2003 came headlines that shook the world and stunned his fans. 9 separate charges of child molestation were brought against Michael. And this time he was to appear in court under the scrutiny of the world press. A furious flurry of claims and denials and counter-allegations followed. Everyone had opinions about the testimony and the witnesses as the drama was played out in California.
Please keep an open mind and let me have my day in court. I deserve a fair trial like every other American citizen. I will be acquitted and vindicated when the truth is told.
I'd like to let the world know that I'm behind my son. I don't believe any of this stuff that's being written about him because I raised him and I know him, and that's just a statement people are making.
We support our brother wholeheartedly, and we stand by his side, and we're in the process of planning a trip with the whole family to visit him.
The case was dubbed the trial of the century and gained global notoriety, not only because of Jackson's fame, but also because of the antics outside of the courtroom. Trial began, hordes of Michael supporters held vigil for their hero outside the courthouse. When Michael arrived at court, he jumped on top of his SUV and began dancing. After 2 months, 85 witnesses, and 500 pieces of evidence, the prosecution rested its case against Michael Jackson. On June 13, 2005, Michael was found not guilty and completely cleared of all charges. His fans wildly celebrated his acquittal.
I would like to thank the fans around the world. I would like to thank the fans around the world for your love and your support from every corner of the earth. My family, who's been very supportive, my brother Randy, who's been incredible. I want to thank the community of Santa Maria. I want you to know that I love the community of Santa Maria very much. It's my community. I love the people. I will always love the people. My children were born in this community. My home is in this community. I will always love this community from the bottom of my heart. That's why I moved here. Thank you very much.
Long after the headlines died, thousands of celebrity watchers and pop music fans continue their obsession with this charismatic star. But after restless but reclusive wanderings in the deserts of Bahrain, in Ireland, England and France, where will Michael go next?
It is my pleasure, it is my honor to be here in South Africa. I love you people very much. I've had the time of my life here. I've had so much fun. I hate to leave. And I'm definitely looking for a home here to buy, because I would love to spend the rest of my life here. And we are definitely coming in January. And this is a wonderful, lovely man, and I love Nelson Mandela very much. And thank you for all your hospitality and all your love. Thank you very much.
Welcome Michael Jackson and Uri Geller to the pitch of Exeter City Football Club.
Michael, why did you want to come to Parliament?
Pardon?
Why did you want to come and visit
To
Parliament?
visit my wonderful friend, Lord Canada.
No, that's a good answer. He's a politician as well.
And to educate me about this whole incredible thing.
Gentlemen, but Gravity knows more about Guy Fawkes than probably.
Guy Fawkes?
Well, what
tried
we
to
want-
blow up the House of the Parliament.
He certainly did.
But
what
why
we're
is
gonna
that
be-
celebration?
Well, we celebrate the fact that he didn't succeed.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see
All right,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Pardon?
What are you hoping to see here?
Gee, I don't know. I haven't been in yet.
Throughout his career, Michael Jackson has always found time to dedicate himself to a vast array of charitable organizations.
Are we blind to the fact that our children are raging against the indifference, crying out against the abandonment, of thundering against the neglect? Heal the Kids is about doing something about making a difference and trying to help adults and parents realize that it is our power to change the world that our children live in.
Inspires me about Michael is that his humanitarian efforts. I mean, as somebody like me whose my work in Somalia just brought me to the fringe of what's happening in that country. I mean, as a humanitarian, we don't have a better spokesperson for Heal the World like Michael Jackson. I'm shocked and inspired by him as a humanitarian. I cannot say more than, about Michael about that way.
Heal the World became one of the best-selling singles of all time. In 1995, Heal the World would become the title of Michael's charity, raising millions for worthy causes, and Michael continues to strive to improve the lives of children everywhere. One of these was a young boy named Ryan, who was diagnosed with the AIDS virus.
I saw a very sincere Michael and somebody that, it's strange after Ryan died, I asked Michael, I said, well, what is it that connected you and Ryan? And he said, most people can't get over the awe of who I am, so nobody can ever act normal around me. He said, Ryan knew how I wanted to be treated because that's how he wanted to be treated. Ryan spent 5 days with Michael in 1990, right before his death. And Ryan was so worried about being a burden to Michael because he couldn't hardly walk. He was very ill. And they did a lot of fun things. And the first night I said, well, what did you do? And he said, well, we spent 3 hours watching Three Stooges movies. I mean, this was something that Ryan loved comedy, so does Michael. They went shopping, and I said, who drove? And he said, well, Michael drove the Bentley. And I said, Michael drove himself? Yeah, me and Michael went shopping. With Ryan's death, it's very, very hard. I have formed a Ryan White Foundation dealing with adolescents, dealing with all kinds of adolescents, whether you have AIDS, whether you don't have AIDS, whether your parents have AIDS, whether your siblings have AIDS. So I'm keep active in doing the things that Ryan was doing and educating our young people about AIDS.
Perhaps more than any other icon in the history of popular music, Michael Jackson remains a charismatic but elusive figure of heated debate. But one fact will forever remain undisputed: his extraordinary talent for creating truly original music loved by millions. And despite setbacks that would have ended careers of lesser men, Michael Jackson's legion of fans remain as loyal today as they have ever been. His accomplishments as the king of pop during the 1980s will always remain some of the most impressive in music history.